Hello again. I'd like to dive a bit deeper into the title of this course and give you both a metaphor and a symbol for leading change. So as we discussed, the definition of leadership is a leader is anyone who wishes to help at this time. This is one of my students in the Dominican Republic where she was tutoring. This is an example of everyday leading as she was just trying to make the world a bit better. We discover the gifts, the talents, and the strengths of those we work with so we can mobilize others to create progress. Over 40 years ago, George Lakoff and Mark Johnson wrote the seminal book, Metaphors We Live By, which shared how we as humans use metaphors to structure our thinking. For example, if you see an argument as a battle, or you live by that metaphor as argument equaling battle, you'll fight to win at all costs. We want to destroy our opponent. However, if we might use a metaphor as argument as a dance, notice how we shift how we see our opponent as a partner that we can learn with and move with. We so often don't consider the metaphors we're living by. This is the same in leadership. A pervasive metaphor for leader is hero, that we are the lone warrior that's going to save everyone, that we must know everything and do everything. But this metaphor is faulty if you've studied anything about groups or organizations or systems. It's also faulty in this time of rapid change. There is too much to know and too much to do. So it's silly or impossible to think about always being a hero. A better metaphor, posited by the leadership and systems researcher Margaret Wheatley, says leader as host. Seeing leading as hosting shifts us from saving everyone to instead mobilizing resources to solve problems, as Ronald Heifetz had also stated. Our job is to gather the right people together, just like hosting a dinner party. I worry about the project getting done, the tasks, or the meal on the table, but I also worry about who's gathered and making sure they feel welcome. As a host, I also recognize that the more diverse perspectives and skills that I gather, the better chance I'll have of understanding or solving any problem. As a hosting leader, I listen to my opponents or opposing opinions and ask, tell me more. If you learn nothing else from this course, I hope you will practice saying, tell me more, with someone you don't agree. This is host leadership. This is our work to create win-win solutions where diverse perspectives are taken into account. Inclusive leaders, hosting leaders, expand who they listen to and open themselves to wrestle with opposing views, to look for more expansive answers. For example, the Council of Foreign Relations studied peace processes and found that if you include affected women in the peace negotiation process, the resulting solutions are 35% more likely to last 15 years or longer. How do we host more conversations like those? There's an ancient symbol that also describes this inclusive win-win approach to leadership. It's called the Mandorla. Mandorla is the almond-shaped intersection between the two circles. As inclusive leaders, we're always looking for solutions that can work for the greatest group, that we can integrate the opposites. For example, how can I find a solution that helps the planet and the people that live on it? How can I support my funders and my employees? You actually want to stand in the Mandorla or be the Mandorla, that intersection, as a hosting leader. You want to think of the tasks at hand, but also care for the relationships, thinking of the head and the heart. This is especially true when it comes to ethics. Hosting leaders call us to consider all the ethical implications of a decision as they inclusively ask for opposing viewpoints. Kofi Annan modeled this inclusive ethical leadership by always asking for something like 16 to 20 different opposing opinions before he rendered a decision as Secretary General. He was an inclusive and ethical leader. This is important as we learn from the work of behavioral economist Daniel Eyerly, who notices that how easy we can be blind to our ethical lapses. He found that we can have a bad habit of cheating a little bit if we're not paying attention to our ethical code of conduct. When we are leading change, we want to focus not only on why we are mobilizing resources, but we also want to think about who we're including in our decision process and very much how we are conducting ourselves. Hosting isn't always easy because we can't rely just on ourselves. We also need to rely on our team. It's not about being nice. Sometimes we have to be fierce as we hold ourselves and others to our values. But Wheatley's and Ronald Heifetz's research show that hosting is a superior metaphor to live by. Hosting meaningful conversations isn't about getting people to like each other or feel good. As Wheatley says, it's about creating the means for a problem to get solved, for teams to function well, and for people to become energetic activists. Hosting leaders create substantive change by relying on everyone's creativity, commitment, and generosity. May the metaphors of hosting and standing in the Mandorla support you and your leadership.